Welcome back to the show, Cezarina.
Thank you, Santari. I'm very happy to be back with you on the quantum creativity stage.
The virtual stage.
The virtual stage, yeah.
Well, we have a great guest, as usual. She is, I believe, living in Toronto at the moment. She's an intuitive, a novelist, poet, songwriter. She obviously has many accomplishments to her belt. So welcome to the show, Adi Kanda.
Thank you, Santari. It's lovely to be here.
Delighted to have you, and I'm really looking forward to all that you have to tell us about your various processes, your program, the core process, and your insight into this world about a world without fear, what it looks like, how it's achievable, and just take it away.
Yes, just like that, a world without fear. That's the vision. Well, the World Without Fear is actually the title of a telesummit that I'm going to be hosting in September, and I'm very excited. It's a little too soon to give you too many names, but I will have some amazing guests on that. Filmmakers, healers, energy workers, musicians, visual artists, because this is really the theme of my work as that has evolved over the last 15 years. I've been doing various forms of energy work and working as an intuitive guide and counselor. And with the guides that I am blessed to work with primarily are very, very loving, very gentle, very kind, and very clear that there is one thing that we have all incarnated to do at this time, at this very intense time energetically on the planet, and that is to clear our fear, to let go of our fears, to get them out of the way so that we can align with our truest and most authentic natures. And by so doing, of course, we shift our own vibration, we shift the vibration of all those connected with us energetically, physically, geographically, and we support the shift that's going on the planet right now.
What does it mean for you to really be in a world where everybody is so completely clear and dedicated to what they're here for, and that almost like the single-mindedness of that just blows away any thoughts that might linger, let's say, about what has happened in the past, because very often people will talk about things that have happened in their past life, and they will keep on reliving that event, and of course they make it real for themselves over and over again. Would you say that that's what you're looking to achieve, to have people get in touch with those moments where the rigidity of the energy, the belief system, whatever it might be, is completely eradicated, and a new sense of being very present and alive to this world in this moment is achieved? Would you say that that would really be your life and your life's work?
Sounds lovely to me. I like very much how you put that. Yes, indeed. I think there's so much happening now, so much awareness coming to the forefront on the planet, and a lot of different modalities, a lot of wonderful teachers. There's a lot of discussion about the law of attraction and co-creation, and how much power we hold in our energy bodies according to our belief systems and according to the thoughts we are thinking and our intention. And this is very exciting and essential understanding. But I have found that at times we can go into some of these methodologies and get a little stuck in what I would describe as a level of denial. That the heart holds a much stronger electrical charge than the brain. The heart is what rules our world. And the mind can hold on to memories, and in fact we can carry memories on a cellular level in our energy bodies that will rule us no matter how hard we try and outthink ourselves. And this is what I find a lot of people run into, is that we will study and we will work hard, and yet we still run up against, we still stumble, we still hit a wall. We still find those patterns that you described recurring and coming back and again, no matter how hard we try, no matter how hard we have affirmations, and we try and think our way out of the box. So one of the processes that I work with and have worked with for many years, and was very central in my own development, is called the core process, and it is a modality of cellular level healing, where as an intuitive, I bring through an awareness of whatever that key piece is, that 10 out of 10, the primary fear-based pattern that you or any client who come to me might have brought with them in this lifetime, that they have entered, they've agreed to come into this lifetime to address. And given that we have all incarnated at a time of tremendous change on the planet, those patternings are very intense. They are things we've carried forward for many lifetimes, and we're no longer able to sit in a cave on a mountaintop for a long period of time. We're being asked to really jump in, to dig in, and to come face to face in as courageous a fashion as we can muster. And I love this work because it provides us, the structure of it is, the reading itself is that it does give a past life story. And these stories are very vivid and very detailed and fascinating to me, on an archetypal level, as well as if we consider it as a literal life that has been lived. But also there is an attunement that comes through with the process, and that attunement changes everything. It certainly blew my world wide open. It is in the attunement we are actually liberated from the patterning on a cellular level. So what we are left with is our own willingness that is asked of us. We do have that little thing called free will. and so we need to align now with our new self, with our new nature. We need to express that willingness. We need to live in awareness of it. And on a daily basis, we need to choose. We need to make the choice that we are not going back to this pattern, that we are ready to experience our lives in a very different way, that this fear and this fear-based pattern that we have known for so long, that we are ready to be done, that we're ready to live without it, we are ready to be set free. And it's extremely potent work. I would say it's not for everyone. I find that it is best suited to those who are on quite a focused spiritual path already, and are familiar with the processes of energy in the body, because what it does is it does liberate this patterning, and so it is like a cleanse, a cellular level cleanse. And very often we find with this process that we go through the process, and then very quickly life brings it to us and says, okay, you really mean this? This look familiar? And then we work with that echo, that reminder that has come forward of the old self and the old fear, so that we can state our will. We can say, yes, I choose differently, and I choose to be free of the old ways. And of course, there's so many versions of it. It's endlessly fascinating for me.
Do you have people create a new image of themselves so that they have a new picture of what the life that they're now dedicating themselves to might look like, so that they have something which is very strong and powerful to completely give them that continual alignment, and which is a steadfast thing which they can always rely upon?
I'm giggling at your intuitive nature, Santari, because this is in fact process. It's something I have done informally, and I'm actually in the midst of creating this as a process. I call it the avatar process, where we actually do very very definitively create that. However, it is not usually something that I think I would offer in the very early stages, because it is my experience that we need to be prepared to open beyond our denial of the pain that we have carried around. This is true for so many people. Not absolutely everyone, I must say, but it's extremely common. I had an early spiritual teacher who used to say, denial ain't just a river in Egypt.
Very good.
There is, in my experience, a bit of an epidemic of, and of course, this is what the ego does. This is to be human. It is to be human. We have learned to protect ourselves from what has hurt too much to see. And this process is very much about allowing that awareness, and in that allowing, diffusing it, recognizing that it is illusion. It is the mirage. But we have to walk into it. A very dear friend and also a teacher of mine years ago loved that analogy of standing in the path of the oncoming truck. That we and you know, I'm not meaning literally outside your window, but that is what it feels like energetically very often. That when we have pushed something down for not just one lifetime but many lifetimes, it has that feeling to us that and when we stand and we say, okay, I'm not afraid of you, and we let it hit, of course we discover it passes right through us, and that we have been safe all along, but we've empowered that fear by running from it and denying it and pushing it under and calling it names and pretending and letting it run our lives on an unconscious level. So the first step in this process is very much about making the unconscious conscious, and not short-circuiting that by wanting too quickly to run to feeling good again. You know, that we have to learn to become comfortable with all our emotions, all our experiences, that we stop judging and compartmentalizing, and we recognize that we live in a universe of polarities, and that those polarities are there for a reason, and that our emotions, as they respond to these polarities, are our greatest teachers and our guides.
I was just thinking that sometimes it requires people to go have those near-death experiences where they literally have to give everything up. And with that, of course, comes the freedom to reshape and to re-know everything in your life, so that what was important before is no longer there to stand as the central pillar of your world. So you quite literally have to see what is the most important thing now. So I would say that you're really looking for people who are questing, who are explorers, adventurers, who not only are wanting to go beyond the box, but are quite comfortable finding that they're in a sense living a perfectly beautiful, balanced life that doesn't have these senses of injustices or depressions, but actually has a fire in it and a spirit in it, and somehow a knowing that everything is perfectly and beautifully right, no matter what it might look like in the other self's world. So would you say that in creating this world without fear, we're actually creating a world where people are really instilled with the power of life, that it is a passionate fire of wanting to be the most brilliant, to excel, you know, that you wouldn't settle for anything less than the most that you can give of yourself in this moment, and that you know what it looks like, and that you have had some sort of experience which reminds you all the time of what that looks like. Would you say that that's sort of like a central pillar for you too?
Absolutely, the conquest, that hero's journey, to surmount and disentangle oneself from fear. I often say that spiritual courage is the human quality that I admire the most, and I believe it's really the essential quality that we have now. Everything else, all of our humanness, we can forgive, but we have to have that courage to step back up over and over again. And each time, that letting go that you describe is essential. I have one or two songs about that, actually, and some vibrational healing pieces, because it is our attachment that creates our pain. I experienced a few times in my life, I've experienced some very intense healing crises, because I'm very energetically sensitive, and it's taken me a whole lifetime to learn how to work with those energies, and I've come close to death a number of times. And on one occasion, I had been very, very ill with a high fever and intense pain for about 10 days. I knew it was energetic, and I had a friend who was a cranial psychotherapist working on me the whole time, my dear friend. But the hardest thing for me was to accept the pain. It was just really, it was very overwhelming. And I had been praying throughout, but of course I've been praying to ask for help in relieving my pain. And Archangel Michael arrived. I had so many downloads and connections and beautiful, as you do when you're on that cusp between, when you're so ill and the body is no longer that important, one has incredible access. And this beautiful vision arrived, and he said to me, your pain doesn't actually hurt. I said, oh, really? Really do tell.
You want to swap?
Yeah. And then he said, no, it's your fear that hurts. The pain itself is not a big deal. It's the fear. And then he said, look over here. And a window of light was shown to me, literally suspended in the air. It was hanging in the middle of the air, this rectangular window, but it was made of light. And he said, look, this is what you do. And then the window began to get pushed and squished and elongated and changed and twisted in all these different ways. And he said, we give you this, a window of light, and you try and fix it. You try and morph it. You try and turn it into something that you're comfortable with, instead of going, thank you, look at that. So I stared at this window and I said, yes, you're absolutely right. That is what I do. And so I sat with it and I thought, I need to change my prayers. And so instead, I said, what is the greatest point of surrender that I could enact in this moment? Surrender is a word I love a great deal in its truest sense. And we don't mean defeat in any way. We instead mean just absolute trust. It is the essence of trust. And so I asked how I could go most deeply into trust in that moment. And what came out, my words were, I accept my pain. I accept this process that has been given me, this deep energetic process. If it has to go on for the rest of my life, I accept it. If there is no end, because I've been praying for an end, and I said, if there is no end, I trust that this is given to me for a reason. If I'd leave, I trust. If I'd have to let go of this life, I trust it. And within a couple of hours, my fever broke. I had a high fever for 10 days. My fever broke. The pain began to subside. Everything lifted, and the healing began. And of course, I've never forgotten that. It's something I share with my clients all the time. Some version of this, and I've lived it many ways. But I think it is our willingness to surrender to our own awareness and allow the empowerment that arises out of that changes everything. The only thing I would differ, Santari, from what you have said in terms of the language would be to excel. For me personally, I let go of, I do my best to let go of the idea of excellence per se, because I come from a lineage of workaholics and high achievers. And I believe that when we align with our authentic nature, we cannot help but be all of what we are. And so it's very much about not pushing, but receiving. And that has been a big learning for me, and for many Westerners. I know we're pretty indoctrinated just from the school system alone, that we cannot trust, and that any failure it carries almost a vibration of almost shame within us. So I think it is more about allowing the experience and daring again, no matter what the outcome. It's that courage thing that I love so much.
Well, I come from a line of dragons, so my thinking when I'm saying that is to get up off your haunch and get up in the air. That would be excellent that I'm looking at.
Oh, I like the dragon imagery very much. That's quite beautiful. Definitely, yeah.
Get off your haunch and soar.
Yes. I certainly am with you on the passion. But that passion, when we align with our joy, is always there. And that's just, again, it's been drummed out of so many of us, and we have all this protection around it. So this is the work I do. I have a mentoring program that I'm just loving. It's a relatively new evolution of my work for me. And what I do is I work with a client on a long-term basis, for example, 12 months, where we begin each month with a reading where we tune into what is uppermost. And essentially it is, what is that fear? What is the piece that's right here now? And the core, this is a beautiful way to use the core process, because the core process is everything. It is, they said in the original transmissions, it was the one reading you need for the rest of your life. And I can believe that, because I'm still working with readings I had, 14 years ago. But we're revealing the fear, and then we work with it, and we understand, we start to recognize it, and we work to liberate it. And then the next month we do another reading again, where we go down another layer, and we work with that, and we liberate it, and then another layer, and so forth. And our goal, our vision, of course, is to be fearless, to release the layers one by one, so that we become more and more of who we really are.
Is that an individual or a group program?
No, it's an individual. That's a mentoring program. Although I do have I have quite a number of local clients in Toronto, and we do have a Facebook forum for the individuals who are in that program, and there is some level of connection there. And we'll be doing 1 or 2 group things a year, I think. But at this point, it's a mentorship program, because it's very intense one-on-one. By next year, I will probably be looking at evolving that into a group program as well.
I wonder if you have a poem which you might read to us.
Yeah, I wanted to ask the same thing.
Oh, you want to share a transmission, you mean? Is that what you said?
You have a poem?
Yeah.
I have thousands of them. I wish you'd mentioned, I would have chosen. Yes, they're quite lengthy. Many of them are quite lengthy. So I can find something if you'd like.
Yeah.
Might take me just a moment to look, but I can find something.
That's all right. We have all the time.
Yes, I wanted, while she's looking, I'm going to share a little something about Adi Kanda, and how it was because of her poetry that I have stumbled upon her website while I was traveling this summer. So she has this amazing, beautiful, well, she will eventually, I think, put more of these videos up, but she took a poem and turned it into this incredible experience. It's not only visual and auditory, but the energetic transformation that occurs when one stares at the screen on her YouTube channel and listens to the gathering poem, which was the one that I actually got, just mesmerized from. I was enchanted by, and later to find out, like she said, that she has thousands of them. And my question is, oh my goodness, is there enough time in this 3D world that you could take some more of those poems and turn them into these mystical experiences, because they become that in a video format. Yeah, it's definitely a delight. I find it, Adi, that just by listening or watching the video itself, there is a unraveling of that particular the old template of the person, the energetics of the person staring at the screen, I really found that that really draws you in, and it's playing with you, it's taking you and transmuting something, and then sometimes that's all that's needed in that moment. So by themselves, it's fascinating to me how these creations that come through by themselves have this power, this magical power, and they hold it no matter, and I think they're timeless pieces. So with no more bragging about it, I would I would love to actually, I mean, I really love the words that come through you. So I have to say that because they really, I have a passion for words myself, so I really connect to that level with them. So
thank you so much. That's really beautiful to hear, and a wonderful reminder to me too, because that is the nature of the work. I guess I didn't actually get to share with you guys how it all began for me, in that I experienced an intuitive awakening. It wasn't a choice or a plan that I had to do the work I did. It was given to me, and for which I'm very grateful. But I was keeping a dream journal at the time because I had been studying Jung, and I found that if I even moved a little bit, I forgot my dreams. I go up to go to the bathroom and I go, oh, what was that really important part? So I wrote everything down, and I kept this journal by my bed. And it was one morning I woke up, and there beside me were pages of poetry, and it was not my voice. I've been a writer my whole life. And it was not my voice. That the words that were there were far more beautiful, I have to say, than my own poetry. And also it was just the vibration, exactly, Cezarina, as you say. That vibration is a characteristic of the blessing that I've been given, of the work that comes through. And I intend to do many more of these creations. The one that I described that you love is something I love to do more than anything. And I got very caught up in the years in serving my clients, but that creative aspect of myself is something I'm returning to. And I also have received many songs over the years, and meditations and chants, and I've been working on a CD that's been underway for about 4 years now. It's had stops and starts, and it should be ready within the next few months. And some of those are actually very early songs. When there was this was quite new to me, but they're very, very powerful, and they also hold this same mysterious vibration. And I used to perform them a lot with a women's performance collective, and we found that at rehearsals we would sing the song over and over again, and our bodies would start to melt down because we would have this inpouring of the vibration, and it would fill us up and cleanse us. This is what I find, is that the vibration of these. I used to do a lot of written transmissions, and I used to call them poems because they all came in that condensed sort of espresso version. For many years, I stopped doing that eventually because I was guided that I had done enough, and because there were so many. But very often, when I would use those in workshops, if I would receive for someone and I would give them theirs, and the work we would do is they would speak it aloud, and in speaking the words, the vibration would be created, and the opening would occur. And there was very little more that we needed to do. These words were given, and so they would speak them, and this immediate outpouring of energy and emotion and awareness would come through. So I know I've been guided, that I am at the point now, having done this work for a few years, that I'm ready to find ways to bring this vibration in a more universal way, so that it's not simply one-on-one. And I'm working on developing a series of books of these transmissions, because the questions I've been asked over the years, I don't know if there's any questions I have not been asked. You can think of it. I've probably been asked for some guidance around it. So, and of course, a great deal around love, relationships, health, work, sexuality, the spiritual process and growth, the nature of evil, autism, ADD, parenting, finances, all of these things on an energetic level, and what they mean for an individual, and in those teachings, of course, what they mean for us all, because we are one. and all that. So I was able to, while you were chatting, Cezarina, I was able to find The Gathering, so I thought I could read that for you if you would like. It is not as lengthy as many of the other transmissions are, and The Gathering is the very first transmission that came to me that I just described to you. So that these are the words that I found that day when I woke up and looked at my journal and found this written there. And in fact, at the time, my writing, I had written over top of my own writing in the dark, and I couldn't quite read all the letters. And like a writer, like any writer, I tried to edit it. I spent 3 days trying to edit it, going, I don't know, these sentences, these are very short structures. I think maybe I need to change the stand. And I made a complete mess of myself, and it totally did not work. And then one day I said, wait a minute, this isn't just writing, this is a transmission. I am receiving it, and I honor it exactly as it is. There isn't a single letter that needs to be changed. And when I did that, I could see. I actually could read the lines in a whole new way because I was an openness in myself. So shall I share that with you now?
Yes, please.
Okay. The Gathering. Under the soil, the earth is calling, calling to the seeds who sleep. Asters, poppies, each will grow in time. Can you not feel them? Each will one day be queen, and the beauty is they know it not, and no one is lord over the other. Children play. Do not waken, for dreams are truth divine. The ancient lives in the broken seed. In your childhood, know that you are no better than the seed, fallen in liberty, as the wild goose calls hoarse with joy. We were taught to question, yet ask your mother only one thing. How do I love myself when I know my words alone have failed? Like a frozen flower waits until we know that for each in turn, once born perfect, once perfect, once grown perfect to all the world. And blind faith is the key, blind, and I will hold. Only blind, I can still gather you in my arms. And the knowing is in each stick, each leaf, brown and shriveled, so beautiful. You are forever my children, as the seed forever bursts in my arms. The Gathering. You forgive me? Asks God with a smile. There are whole civilizations who cannot, and to them I say, be as this child, her arms full of sticks, whispering madness. Lie under the snow blanket and wait. The promise is made. Your turn will come. Out of the dark and frozen ground, believe only in the seed.
Beautifully spoken.
Thank you. Yes, it's interesting because, of course, the transmissions have evolved tremendously over the years. And I have many different ways of receiving now. In the early days, they were very much in a very fluid and deep poetry. I found that as I came to work with clients, some of them preferred something more clear and simple, and so I was able to ask for very direct guidance as well. But the poetic nature, I think, as you know, as Cezarina is a beautiful poet, she understands this. It is the density of it that holds the power.
Mm-hmm.
So they're still amongst my favorites. And interestingly, also in that first transmission, the teachings I find in that encompass everything. You know, after all the thousands of transmissions, all the guidance, all the details around our various human constructs, it really does come down to the basic teachings, the tenets that are found in that very first transmission. So I love it.
Thank you for giving us a little taste there. It reminds me a bit about the starseed transmissions, which were written almost like an eon ago. Again, it's just the simple nature of it, and but everything that's contained within it is just so vast and takes its time, of course, as you say, like a seed, to grow and to become what it needs to become. So people will gradually become who they needed to become. I have only 2 questions here.
That's all?
That's all.
One is, where'd you get your earrings? They're gorgeous.
Thank you. It's a Tibetan shop here in Toronto on Queen Street, and they're made in Nepal. I love to support that store because he brings in a lot of things from the Tibetan refugees living in Nepal.
Thank you. And the other one is, where would people go to get more information about everything that you've just been talking about?
Adikanda.com. So it's ADIKANDA, adikanda.com. And I love to hear from people personally. So you can find you'll land right on a page there where you can send your contact information or click on the telephone and leave me a voicemail, and then we can chat.
Yeah, great. Well, I think that's it from us. Anything, Cezarina?
I'm full. Give me poetry, and I will overflow to too much joy. I will be bursting. The rest of my day will be so joyful that I no longer walk in the body. I walk in the clouds. Right? I walk into poetry. So,
well, you are a walking poem yourself, my love.
I think that's probably true. Words clothed in form.
Yeah.
Adi, it's been great having you on the Quantum Creativity Show with us, and we will be looking forward to hearing more, perhaps, from you in the future. And we wish you every success in creating this world, which we all share together.
Many blessings, Santari and Cezarina. Thank you both so much for having us. Great fun.
To a world of love and magic and poetry and pure light. That's what I say. Thank you.
Okay, that's it for the Quantum Creativity Show for this week. Join us next fortnight for a fascinating, innovative conversation, wherever it's going to take us and whoever it's going to be with. We wish you many loves and blessings until then. So goodbye for now.
Goodbye.